Welcome everybody to another night of ESL Pro League. It's going to be intense. This evening we have teams vying for playoff spots, trying to cling to one of those top 6 seeds. And on the other side of things, we've got teams on the verge of collapse, trying to avoid relegation. All is going to be happening tonight. We'll see both sides of the spectrum. And with me to walk you all through it, Chad True Blue Birchill and Hank Henry G. Greer.
Nailed it.
Lovely.
Nailed it. Yeah, you guys like that?
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Good.
Jason.
Where did yours come from? Because I know Hank's used to be his alter ego that you'd take over from time to time.
I was just trolling you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like every horror movie, Hank has just fully taken over now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm fully Hank now. Yeah. So might just change the whole nickname to
Love
Hank
the full
G.
beard that you're rocking there, Henry.
It's quite heavy, isn't it? Like, I thought all of us should have beards, so I thought I'd join in. Like, look at that. That is some coverage.
Growth. Yeah.
That is pretty good, isn't it?
Doesn't.
It's so bad.
Not as, I mean, the mustache, I think, was better.
Yeah,
you do grow a pretty mean mustache, I believe. And we're going to move swiftly along from Hank's facial hair over to the standings. North America. I mean, this has pretty much not changed since we've looked at it. Liquid's starting to slip down a little bit. That's dangerous, but there is that cushion. We mentioned this a couple times. Renegades, the Asian minor will be taking place during ESL Pro League, so even if they get top 6, they are going to be attending the Asian minor to try and get to the PGL major. So there's a little bit of a cushion there for teams like Liquid and Energy that have a chance of dropping out, but otherwise, that top 3 is looking solid. I think SK is just one win away from really locking in a playoff spot.
They got one map done yesterday, I think. And now
they needed both of them, but it got rescheduled.
Exactly, right. So that's looking very likely they're going to be making it. And it'd be nice to see Immortals there as well. They've been a team that's been
nice to see 3 Brazilian teams.
Imagine only getting 1 win in the North American region.
Yeah, that's a bit brutal, isn't it?
Jesus, Joseph.
Let's go towards the light, though. I mean, head towards the light, Chad, because we've got the EU standings here. I mean, this is we saw 3 different first-place teams last night as the evening went on, as wins were counted. The teams shuffled all in there. G2 is there from last to now top 6. That's an impressive run.
It's scary, right, to see how many teams could potentially be in this top 6 at this late in the season. Like last time around, it was the middle of the pack that was uncertain. This is from first place all the way down to potentially even 10th. Like, there's still, like, chances.
Kingwood could still make it. I don't think that's the case yesterday after they got 2-0'd. But yesterday, that was how close it was. They still had a fighting chance, right? They could still do it, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, teams like VP, I mean, the drop in their performance late in the season pretty much doesn't eliminate them, but, I mean, it's looking dim for them. And then NIP is going to be playing tonight to essentially preserve any chance they have of making it, but they need to go on a really solid late season run. These are the matches we have. I said NIP would be playing. They're going to be the second match against North later on this evening. Heroic with their new logo. They're going to be going up against EnVy.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's looking dark to
see
against that gray. It's looking a bit tough. Virtus Pro taking on G2 on the second stream, and Astralis Fnatic on the other stream as well. The way this is working at the moment, North is going to qualify if Fnatic loses. If North wins 1 match, Fnatic lose a match, then North qualifies for the playoffs. If they win both, then they qualify as well, no matter what happens.
Okay, and then the rest of it is basically just playing for seeds at that point.
Yeah, right? and then it starts really solidifying. So the top of both regions is kind of starting to get to that point. Either way, we're going to head over to Mitch. He's got a couple points of his own he'd like to make.
Thank you very much, guys. And as always, to you at home, we invite you to join us on our social media platforms. It's facebook.com/ESLCS and at ESLCS on Twitter. Now, if you're watching our North American coverage last night, you may not have been watching for very long. Last night, a CSGO update was released that took community and custom servers offline. You could see this in the tweet from Daps of Energy, and this included competitive servers. In his case, not only was ECS affected and forced to reschedule the matches, but so was the Pro League. As the Renegades pointed out, their match against Immortals had to be also postponed. The details on a new match time are still to be hammered out, so keep an eye on the aforementioned social media platforms to find out when that's going to be played. For SK, though, the single map that did get played was for these guys versus Energy on Inferno. Now, with SK's 16-11 victory, should I say, they tweeted out that they've now qualified for the playoffs. This is not quite true. SK still needs to win either 1 map to qualify, or Optic and CLG need to both lose a map. This makes it almost a certainty that they'll make Dallas, but it's not quite official yet. Our first match of the night is Heroic versus EnVyUs. They'll be playing on Train, and the subject of today's pro tip, Nuke.
Hey Future Pros, dropping another nuke smoke for all of you today. This smoke is for outside CT Heaven Throne from T-Spawn. It's a hard one to get right every time, so make sure you practice this one a lot. To do the smoke, get into this corner. Aim up from the left side of the ladder and level off at the point shown. Then jump and throw. If done correctly, you should have a nice smoke to help you take some outside control.
Another nice pro tip from Rush, but we had the benefit. We got a surprise, or not a surprise, but just something special. We're going to do 2 pro tips, essentially, because Body had a pro tip video of his own yesterday, didn't he? Yeah. I think we've all seen the highlight clips of these shots, but got him replays a couple different angles. This is the original. That's dirty.
Okay, so let's talk about this. He has the timing down, right? He's shooting at 149. That's assumably when the CT's going to be picking to either throw a smoke or picking with an AWP or jumping out like we saw there. In the next occasion, because it happens twice in a row, as a CT, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, you know, that's not going to happen again.
You hate to see it.
Quite like to see it, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, it is filthy. Like, have we ever seen this attempted before? Like, that's
I'm not
insane.
Sure. I don't think we've ever seen it work twice.
He did tweet out last night that this was the first time he'd ever hit it.
Well,
he'd ever actually hit it.
Well, you know, when you've got that kind of lead right on the Terror, you have 10-2.
Yeah.
Do you really want to be deploying that?
Why not?
Well, I'd save it for a massive grand final.
No, because the likelihood of something like that is so small. Let me throw out more baseless numbers. There's probably like a 2% chance of that happening.
No, more than that.
You should create.
You've got the timing down like that. And you hit it 2 rounds in a row.
Baseless numbers with statistics.
I would say all I'm saying is that now people will be aware of it and they might jump across a certain angle. I'd be saving when you're 10-2 up. I think, do I want to drop this in right now?
Well, the fact that he hits it, I mean, the amount of times that the mid player has to be that first person going at 140. Like, what if the mid player spawns at the back of CT spawn and gets there at 147? You know, whatever it might be. But either way, we're gonna get into it because we got the big matches. We're gonna get into Heroic taking on Envy.
Okay.
And this is going to be an interesting match because Heroic has actually been very pleasantly surprising. Another team from Denmark. We know they've been rising up. We know they've started to get better and better. But I mean, taking out VP, which is looking like less of an accomplishment than we might have originally thought.
16-1 as well.
Yeah, I mean, those were huge. But this team has got a lot of talent.
Absolutely. Some newer names, I guess, that aren't necessarily associated with having lots of pedigree with CSGO. Yugi was one of the players that comes to mind. Another Nico, not to be confused with the Bosnian player, of course. They're looking great. Young, talented players. Yugi is going to be, mark our words, in a year or two, he's going to be a world-class AWP. He's very, very good indeed. Players like Nico on a map like Train, which is coming up, he is actually amazing at holding the inside bomb site by himself. He's actually one of the few players in the world that can do that comfortably without backup as well.
Haven't even spoken about Valdi yet. Henry didn't even mention it, but he is an incredible player.
Yeah, he's the next one to be poached, I'd say, by an Astralis or a North, you know, to fill that role, because he's just such a solid player. He just puts frags up on the board no matter what.
And then on the other hand, I mean, we talk about the young stars coming in for Heroic. Envy is just kind of a team of grizzled veterans, so to speak, but not really the power veterans of the French team. You've got Happy, you've got RPK, you've got Sixer, you've got Scream. Yeah, it's kind of like the, I mean, we've called it the leftovers many, many times, and there's a reason why. These guys just don't seem to have the cohesion that G2 super team has kind of built up over the course of the season.
Well, people got excited at the beginning of Pro League when this team first came together and Scream was trialing. They obviously took down G2, but that was when they were in a, I guess, kind of a slump period. They were on 0-6 and they got beaten 2-0 by these guys, and that's where Scream got officially picked up. Had they not won that game, maybe he doesn't join full time, but that was actually the beginning of it. It did look decent. They are very good players overall, but yeah, you're right. I don't think it's really coming together as well as they'd have hoped, really.
I don't think, you know, I never had high hopes. It was surprising to see how well they did early on in the season. That was like, wow, okay, this is actually something we can't count out, but it's kind of settled where you'd expect them to be. They have, obviously, we know Happy's a fantastic player, and, you know, his style of playing the game isn't it's not outdated. It just, everybody knows what he's doing now, right? And then you've obviously got Scream, fantastic aim, the one-tap legend, and RPK. Those are like the 3 standout names from that lineup. And then Sixer, 1.6 player, now he's an AWPer in the squad. Has flashy moments, but it's just probably not consistent enough. I know you sometimes question that.
Yeah, it's the thing. I thought when he was in the previous lineup at EnVyUs, he was actually looking amazing in terms of a really solid rifler. He was kind of similar to Body in that respect. Yeah. Wasn't doing anything amazing, but he could hold positions by himself. Very good at being in B-bomb sites and finding 1 or 2 frags. Very reliable. And I thought he was a fantastic rifler. Going over to the AWP, he's okay. He's decent, but I just don't think it's going to be what they need to actually get them up into a world-class level at the moment.
Yep. And I think it kind of does feel like, you know, while the other teams, you look at G2, obviously is the big one since they're also from the French team, but someone like Navi as well that had their own struggles. Everyone's kind of progressed. Everyone's kind of improved, you know, the way they're playing. And Envy, it seems like they haven't been on that same level of progression. Even Heroic has been really, really growing on everyone. I mean, Snappy as an in-game leader. I mean, we talk about them beating Versa online, but they beat him in Katowice as well.
You think, well, Katowice, they actually got to the semi-finals. Yeah. Like, you have to think of a pinch of salt,
that was
really.
The benefit because there was no quarters, right?
Yeah, so they won their group somehow. Yeah. Like round robin format with SK, which was amazing, but at the same time, like, it's difficult to believe that can be replicated in other formats. Like if it went towards like a GSL format, I'm not sure they'd make it to a semi-final as easily as they did. Great for them, but I just think there's still a lot of work to do overall.
We do have a little bit of time. We did get ahead of schedule because we're just, this is a very efficient, tight ship that we're running today.
I have lots to say, so this is fantastic.
Take it away,
So
Chad.
very matchup specific now, looking at Train, which is the first map we have this evening. Both of these teams play a very similar CT side. They like to send the AWPer around that Ivy section of the map, and then you have the Rifler who babysits it for Heroic. It's Modi. And on the side of EnVyUs,
Sixer.
He's AWPing there, but there is a Rifler who babysits it for him.
I think it's RPK.
I believe you're right, it is
RPK sounds like the babysitter of that team.
RPK's inside.
There you go. I thought it was RPK at Ivy.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find out soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a player I'm forgetting.
XMS?
Sixer, XMS.
He seems to like to be, I mean, you know,
anyway,
all the names
my point is they play a more reserve style, right? They're playing around the bomb train, and there's a gap in the way that these guys play their CT side because they're using utility to stop a player getting out team mid to Olaf. A much better name than Olaf is Nook. You should all use that. It's a much better name.
Probably should.
Yeah. And the AWPer goes there to spot the right side of that train or Nook, and then the Riflers are spotting it from as they come out CTCon as they're throwing nades. But if you throw some good flashes and you have the best spawn, you could probably get into that position on the map and lurk late there. And if you have people ready to go on an odd timing, right? So what happens is the CT set up, they throw the utility, and now they're posturing. Okay, it's not a fast out. Now we're going to push up a little bit and retake that Nook section of the map. If you get a good timing on that, as they're moving up, you throw a couple of flashes over there in the open, your Nook player can step out, 2 people can come out pop dog, maybe a little bit of IV pressure, and you can get them in that limbo period, which I think both teams are going to be, or should look to exploit. That was something, while I was watching the demos, that I could see was a potential flaw in the way that they approach it. They're not like an Astralis. They don't seem to mix it up as much with the aggression. They don't have a player in pop. Occasionally they'll push team mid.
There's a few teams that actually really do that. SK is one of the ones that really define how that should be played, that aggressive style. Like almost every round when you have the momentum in your favor, they'll start pushing 3 players inside or 2 towards Ivy. And you have to be in some sort of, that sort of mindset of winning consecutive rounds and think, well, we've got a few in the back here, let's start pushing them. It's difficult to actually get that rolling. You can't just present that every single round, right? But yes, you're right. These teams especially do not really change their game plan that much on the CT side.
Will it be Heroic that's going to be able to do more matchup? I mean, the team that you consider has better in-game leader that we kind of consider better prepared strategically. On the other hand, I mean, EnVy still kind of doesn't look like they have like a great structured plan. You expect to see that kind of stuff out of Heroic, right?
Potentially, yeah. I think that'd be a good way to deal with it. The thing is, G2 are just coming, EnVy are just coming back from the summit, right? So they might be a little bit jet lagged. I don't know how the players on that team are necessarily going to deal with it.
How many days since they got back? Like 2 days?
So, I can attest, traveling from the West Coast to back to Europe, it's not that bad.
No, it's okay?
No, it's brutal.
Okay, there you go.
It's violent.
You were like there for like 3 days, so you didn't even get acclimatized to being there.
No, I didn't. It still wrecked me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be just a tough thing for EnVy to be able to do.
Yeah. Something that EnVy do, well, not EnVy, a player on RPK does, is amazing. When he pushes out high ramp on the T side, he is just like a turret up there. He tends to make so many frags from that position towards connector when they're pushed out and they're in the back alley of the trains. And he's so brave about it. Like, he'll just continue taking fights. Where some players, you know, they'll drop off, they'll go behind the oil train, they'll try and get the bomb site. He has no qualms. And I think the
tunnel vision all the way at the upper ramp.
I think the good thing is if you can like stay alive, then you're going to allow your teammates to be able to push in while, because they have to worry about you at high ramp, right? They can't fight anybody else from CDCon until they've killed you pushing up high ramp. So something that they're going to have to shut down.
With some time to kill, I wanted to bring up the standings again because you know, we focus on the big names. I want to see exactly Heroic is where are they? They're about right at the middle at 8th. EnVy obviously down at 13th, trying to avoid relegation. Even playing in those matches would be great. But Heroic's the team that actually has a chance here to kind of jump up, see if they can maybe start fighting for that. I mean, they have to have a really great end of the season run, being what 4 games behind 6th seed. But there's a chance here for Heroic.
Yeah, who have they got remaining at the moment? So they're going to be playing EnVy here. Yeah, Chad's on it. We'll have a look. So they've got EnVyUs Kingwin. That's possibly a 2-0 coming in.
So best case for them, if they 2-0 EnVy and they 2-0 Kingwin, they're going to add 4 wins to that.
That'll be tying them for 6th. I mean, depending on how the Astralis and Fnatic matches go.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, other teams have much harder ends to the season.
Here's kind of the scary thing with Astralis. The one we saw yesterday is entirely susceptible to Fnatic, you know, I guess, quote unquote, upsetting them tonight.
Well, if they play the way they did yesterday, then absolutely.
So let's give that like a little bit of context. I believe, like, I follow a lot of these players on social media, and Device was away in Paris on like a weekend holiday, right? So the turnaround from that. He probably wouldn't have been playing over the weekend like they normally might. You know, maybe get in a few hours, not a whole training day kind of thing. But the turnaround from that, he might have been not him specifically. You know, maybe some players. Here's a point that we can make while we have plenty of time to kill. Some players in teams they can practice as much as they want individually, but it might not actually make them a better player in the server because they are doing different things in pugs or things like that. So for some players, it might be more beneficial, especially in-game leaders, to make sure that your warm-up is practice scrims with your team, right? Because you need to be in that environment with your teammates, not just playing like a rank S ESEA game or something like that.
Hopping into a deathmatch.
Exactly. You need that kind of structure to get you in the zone.
Well, that's the way they looked. Are we getting ready to throw?
No.
That's what I was going to say. Yesterday, Astralis looked like they hadn't even played a practice game before they went in there. They looked so flat as a unit. Like they weren't assertive at all with their takes. Their executions were off point, like missing smokes and stuff.
What's the sweet spot to you, Henry? Scrims before a match.
I think you need to play 2 of those personally. Like our schedule normally was, if we had an official at 7 p.m, we'd be there at 5 p.m. Like half-an-hour death match and try and get 2 games in if we can. Try and fit it in. Like you're not necessarily aiming to finish both of those or win them. You're just trying to get everyone in the zone, start communicating, and make sure everyone's in the right headspace.
Chad, was there a sweet spot for Renegades? Just real quick.
We played a lot of Counter-Strike and it didn't work, so maybe play Battlegrounds.
Great insight.
Great words from the Australian sensation. We're going to send it over to another one. It's going to be Uber with Pansy.
Yeah, I'm surprised there was enough room for the 2 of us in the studio, Moses, but somehow we made it work. Heroic, sporting the new logo, minimalistic.
I like it. I'm a big fan.
Maybe copyright issues prevented their other one from being a thing. I'm not really sure. I'm not going to look too deep into it here. But, I mean, they're going up against Envy now. Yeah, I think for Heroic to make it into the... Well, they had to win pretty much every game from here on out. But still been an admirable season from them. For Envy, though, it's a little bit more of a precarious position. Now, just above them sits Virtus Pro and like 8 wins and 14 losses, right? So this is not terrible for EnVyUs. They haven't played as many games as quite a few of the teams in that lower echelon. So it shouldn't be a concern. But, I mean, our last showing from Heroic was an absolute stomper VP on this particular map.
Yeah, overall, this is actually a really good map set for Heroic, but Train itself, specifically up against EnVyUs, is a very good matchup. Both teams really run this map quite a lot. I guess Heroic, excuse me, are far more known for their nuke play, but this is the evenest you're going to get.
The evenest, that is a thing, apparently.
I'm dying here, I'm just choking quietly.
It's been very chirpy today there, Lauren. It's been a nice change.
Yeah, it's a lot of Battlegrounds, just really propping up my mood.
You brought me a muffin earlier on. That's quite unprecedented. I'm getting choked up here. Not from the muffin, of course. That was delicious. All right, so looking at this one here as well, I mean, a player who was very impactful on this map. We talked about Orpers a little bit on the desk. They sort of brought up Sixer and also Yugi's role, which was very central on this map up against Virtus Pro. Yugi was coming in with his aggressive early peaks on that CT side with the AWP, so he's one to look out for now as we hit the pistol round. It will be Heroic starting on CT.
So for me, it's how much can Heroic keep up, see if what Envy come in like. On paper, you'd still, I guess you'd put it towards EnVyUs. They've got a lot of classics there. You've still got a lot of individual power. But then if you look at the kind of team composition, you look at what Heroic as a collective can achieve, they've certainly shown a lot more recently.
Heroes they're using, their composition?
Stop it. How dare you? How very dare you
do this?
Took it
that direction.
How very dare you?
Team composition. I've never heard that really applied to Counter-Strike. However, if you look at the Arsenal, that's maybe a little bit more of a relevant stat to look at. It's going to be Sixer carrying most of the utility here. It's EnVyUs setup. They're going to make their way out of brown halls, just like the proverbial.
But look how far back Heroic are actually sitting as well. Nico and Snappy both here. Flash comes in. They're not particularly affected. They're going to allow them to, to get on towards the site, watch the cross pretty much, and play on the retake. EnVyUs, their game plan is to get up pretty close. Actually, no, tell a lie. It's only XMS getting up this close towards that oil tanker, that sort of closest point. You've got Scream doing the same thing, and now it's going to have to be retake time for Heroic. Snappy landing a shot towards XMS is going to ease the pain, and there's a follow-up. Nico catching out one towards those upper rafters is big, and Nico again towards Scream. This is good. Sixer could be a threat, though.
Down to Happy, just the one player left up against 4. Now with the bomb being planted, that is something. Happy doesn't sit on a Molotov or anything, so there's no real hijinks except him just shooting through. Managed to find Snappy, and Nico's down to 1 HP. Now Happy's given his position away, but he stops the defuse there. This could be nasty. There may not be time to defuse at all. Happy burst fire at close range. It's ahead of Money to go, and now Yuki has to try and make something of this, but he can't do it. He doesn't have the time. He's going to back away and try and hang on to the armor that he had, and Happy will go up in a blaze of glory, but he'll be happy with it. 3 kills in round 1 for EnVyUs.
Well, he's going to be grinning from ear to ear, isn't he? That's a round you remember.
Uncharacteristically, of course.
True. No, that was really well played out by him in the end, considering that everyone else from Envy made almost 0 inroads towards getting that done. You saw it. You saw the likes of Nico there doing some great work for Heroic, and I think it was Snappy as well. I'm not too sure. But still, those two did wonders. Now, they know it's actually a very close round, so they're going to go back into this with not a great buy for Heroic, but enough that they can do a little bit of stopping power. They've got the armor upgrades. Envy, they've had to suffer a little bit. They were down to the last man, of course. He did pretty well, but a bomb plant's only going to put them in a good stead. Scream going to get right onto that rifle. A lot of people now starting to, not necessarily expect it, but he does it a hell of a lot, and you can see as to why. The man's a bit of a beast with it, so the one taps, etc.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how his output increases drastically when he does have that weapon in hand. Although we've seen some plays with pistols and the like, he's not going to bother with it here.
They would have a different stance, I guess, for Heroic. They are working with just pistols towards B, so it makes sense, even though I guess they were last time as well. But it was more of an even playing field. 3 down towards the ramp, 2 towards the uppers. Excuse me, just 1. And look how much they've been isolated. Great positioning from Heroic here. Very well played out, and Nico is being a true thorn in their side. Not letting them be able to kind of pinch together, and it's again left it down to Happy. Surely not this time. A 1v4, not looking so likely with merely 22 HP, a Mac 10 and a Dream. You've got 4 players who've now recovered a lot of the rifles or whatever they had. There's the rifle sitting on Nico specifically. That's the one you're going to be worried about here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only one that's sort of been recovered. I think, yeah, there's a UMP for Snappy in the mix there. Nico, huge contribution in this round, hiding close with that 5-7, and Monty just comes in and puts the icing on the cake. Really nice opening for Heroic in that round. Really tight. Valda, more importantly, got 2 kills with the CZ, actually, as the players made their way down ramp. This is that first pistol from Happy. Perhaps been put out of your mind after what we saw earlier in that round. But, yeah, props to Valda. That was really nice receiving those rushing CTs with the CZ.
Yeah, nicely done so far. Heroic, you know, evening out now at 1-1. I actually don't like their logo on the flag. You know what I mean? I think it looks nice on its own with the flag.
Ugly Welsh. I get the Welsh feeling from it, you know, the colours.
Probably why being, you know, as a Brit, we get a little bit, you know, question about the Welsh.
Yeah. You guys are funny like that. I guess it's like us and the New Zealanders, actually. The flag is identical except for the red stars, and that's enough for us to have a bone with them sometimes. Molly, though, catches 6 early on in the round, but Scream's going to fire back as he often does. It's the headshot with the P250. Looking to pick up a weapon there as well. Don't know what he's going to get. A UMP from Valda's corpse.
No, it's not the worst. See him doing more with less. There's always the deagles afoot as well. Heroic need to be aware of this. I want to see how they approach it. They're playing... There was a heavy lean towards B there, but Yugi's actually pulled himself back across. Happy waiting for any sort of chance to be able to utilize that deagle down towards Ivy if anyone presents himself. So Happy to take the head off. He does have a little bit of help with him now as XMS is there. Modi now knows what's coming his way, but looks right into the flash, has to back off to safety. He's now lost control of Ivy. This could be a problem, and it is. XMS is going to bully his way through, but standing towards Yugi, but the deagle is still there, and this is a costly round for Heroic. This is not as clean as they'd want.
No, and especially after the first couple of rounds. Now Happy, the headshot on Nico. That's a big opener. UMP in hand now. We've got Snappy on the other side of the bomb train, and it's another clutch for him. Beautiful opening from Happy. He saves yet another round for EnVyUs and keeps it very interesting. Not only round score, but also economically.
What has Happy been up to? This is a very powerful individual. He's won these 2 rounds for EnVyUs. You know, there's no 2 ways to put it other than that. The rest of the guys, you know, don't worry about it. It's nice of you to be in the server for company, but you know what? It has been the Happy show. The first round, of course, you remember the pistol, and this one, just as imperative. It's taking the guns away from Heroic, put their money in a shambles, so it's a lovely start for him. Now, for Heroic on the other side, you've got Deagle, P250, SCZ. Not much to play with, and again, they're playing out pretty standard. They're not actually doing anything too quirky. I guess, in a way, playing a little different, but not, you know, anything to write home about. Not some massive stack, nothing, no hyper aggression anywhere as, you know, as the pack. So this is just surely going to be another MV round. It's about how clean it is, though.
Happy just potentially hoping to catch someone if they have pushed further forward without him knowing. Although Modi is the most forward player for Heroic on that part of the map. Not really too deep here. Heroic taking the time, and Happy, again, smoke and flash in, forces Modi off, but he's not really... Yeah, he's not really put off this too much. He still wants to play fairly close around this one with the pistol. But really, he realizes ultimately he's going to have to back away. Now, on the other side of the map, the rest of EnVy are getting in position. XMS has made his way through already. Aggressive push, and that's a lot of damage on towards Yuki already to open things up. Happy eventually finds Modi, so wins out that Ivy duel. And again, Valda strikes with the CZ. Another one will be beautiful, but Scream is unlikely to allow that to occur. It's Snappy and Nico to hold on for Heroic.
Yeah, nice little bomb plant. 4 alive. You can't complain at this point. Snappy and Nico waiting to be presented with a chance to utilize what they have in their hands. And Nico almost has the lineup. Happy, better be careful, but he did very well with the Deagle, so he knows what it's capable of. Gonna back away with that. Doesn't need to challenge out with a rifle, really. Heroic just have everything to lose at this point, so EnVyUs just gonna take their time. Might send one of them in. Happy's going back with the rifle. This could be a little bit dangerous, but he's keeping it in control. It seems that Happy is certainly on point today. He's warmed up and ready to go. 2 big kills to close out. He did get 3 during that round, but overall it's what you'd expect to see there. But a good round to stabilize for EnVyUs, keeping the 4 alive, the bomb plant as well, not losing out on, you know, too many of the rifles or anything of the such. They are fine. They're good to go. Now the buyback comes in, but it's a shame we don't quite see that AWP coming out yet for Heroic. We know that Yugi is very talented at it, but not to be seen just yet.
After a tumultuous first 4 rounds there, it's good to see EnVyUs really start to turn on the discipline there.
What?
Tumultuous.
What's that?
Chaotic.
Oh. I actually didn't know.
There you go.
Today I learned.
Amongst the tumult of the first 4 rounds anyway, EnVyUs now playing a little bit more safe than that previous one, but this might be dangerous for them. They push a little bit too deep, and it's Yuki to get 2. Valda also has the upper position, but XMS, it's a nice swing for him. Makes his second kill of the round, and he's pushed up very close to the bomb cart. Snappy finds him through the smoke, though. It's a messy one. It's a 2v1. Sixer needs to hold on, and no bullets left for Snappy. Now Nico and Sixer go the 1v1.
Now, the bomb obviously not planted, a non-easy recovery for Sixer. Every line of sight seems dangerous to him right now, and he's trying to be cautious, trying to be careful, trying to be smart about this. He does get a glimpse of Nico. Now it's game on. Nico has to be careful, but he's standing out in the open. He's feeling brave about this one. He might be a little ahead of himself, but no, he does contain the threat in the end. He locks it down. He does get the frag towards Sixer, and another round will fall onto the board for Heroic, but their money is going to be a little low here. And they know that there's a little bit of funding to fall back on for EnVyUs. They had a little bit of a nest egg built up in the form of Happy on 8K. So he can drop out a couple of bits and pieces if needed, and he has. That's going to spread the wealth around, and Heroic's going to have to do the same thing. You know, you're going to see a lot of UMPs here, and yeah, we've got 3 coming out. A fair touch of utility, though. And Scream, just taking his time. Yeah,
and you can see XMS, perhaps even for that reason, it's just a tech knife for him in this round. Handing the weapon over to someone who's maybe more desperate for that. Does see players such as Scream, who received XMS, has dropped AK in this round. So you can see that EnVyUs do prioritize Scream as a player to invest those resources in when they don't have enough to spread. A couple of windows being banged out here by Scream. And all of EnVyUs set up in brown hole. So they got this utility now. We're definitely interested to see what kind of set plays come from EnVyUs. The first 4 rounds, given the economy wasn't good, not really good litmus test of, you know, how cerebral the approach is going to be for these two. Snappy, that's always a risky position to sit by the spools there. We've seen it work.
Yep, he's depending on Nico a fair bit here as well. Here we go, it is go time. You can see EnVyUs coming in, anti-flash as well. The mollies are burning a little bit, but they are through, and they're actually around in a site that maybe Nico didn't expect. You're going to see the trades go favorably now for EnVyUs. They've got the site under control, and now it's Heroic trying to play back into it, but it's going to be hard. Already Happy pushed up so far. RPK with a lovely angle of sight as well. Yugi going to be swept aside. It might just be save time for Heroic. They know they have no access to this site, and a very all-encompassing hit there from EnVyUs.
And you can note that also to the speed of that bomb being planted. Snappy wasn't ultimately able to have much of an impact playing from that small spot there. Nico traded a kill out, which is all well and good, but Snappy wasn't in a position to play refrag or even really do anything. I think it was even a player on upper above him where he was tucked into the wall that might have found him ultimately. But again, we've seen some players come out with 3 or 4 kills from that spot. If you can get the jump on your opponents. It wasn't the case in this time, and now Scream may just be walking into a bullet. He's checked it, but Modi was waiting on the corner there. Advantage to Heroic. He trades up to an AK, and they'll sit the rest of the round out.
Yeah, Happy not able to get there in time. And EnVyUs utilising what they had. Far more than Heroic had to stop them. So at this point, 4-2 though. EnVyUs putting up a good T side so far. And if we just, hit the scoreboard, you can see, a little bit of a heavyweight hitter at the moment, which is Happy. 11 kills beside him. It feels like it's been a long time since we've seen him this active in play in this role.
Yeah, it feels like this has actually been more the case now with this new EnVyUs than definitely was before. We've seen Happy be very, very hard to dig out a lot of situations, and he's still playing the small sites or more of that lurking kind of role. You see now he's the sole player actually just holed up in Ivy. So we often see him on his own. He's not this is not a position where you bait your team from by any stretch. But again, he's hoping for some CT-sided aggression from the Danes to capitalize upon it. But in the meantime, most of the action is occurring here. Not quite into brown holes yet. So EnVyUs playing this a little bit slower. Might even be a quick drop play out of Pop Dog. You get some spam there with the scout. That shot wouldn't be too far away from EnVyUs if they had pushed further in now. Where XMS is standing is where he'd be hit by that scout. Just at the top of the stairs or a little bit to the right.
Now, last time he was pretty successful up here, Nico. I wonder if he's going to actually stay around this long, though. Already being flashed away. XMS spamming towards that smoke. You got RPK up close, too. Just getting a bit of control now.
You didn't see his weapon name, did you?
No.
No. Perhaps we'll leave that.
What was it?
Whose
was it? Snappy's?
I can't say it on air, yeah.
Good
okay,
stuff.
a bit of a shot at the, obviously, North Academy player, but that's RPK.
That was so sick with the little flash there to make him turn, and he just goes down ahead of it. That's so nice. Now Modi's going to show off what he's got too. A bit of a tap down towards RPK, but by this point, EnVyUs have 3 players towards the side. Valdez trying to hinder the bomb plant, but there's people covering. Oh, he's gone in for it. The bomb does go down regardless, so he can't really stop that, but does great damage towards XMS, tries to make it out alive, and barely gets away.
The spray was very wild. There was actually a player watching that particular spot there. I don't know who's really to blame there for Envy. Maybe it was XMS or Happy sitting back on the opposite cart. Regardless, damage already being done for EnVyUs here. They get the bomb plant. And Heroic seeming far less having their finger on the pulse of the game than as we saw against Virtus Pro, and you can make a multitude of conjecture about that. Virtus Pro looking a lot weaker lately, but EnVyUs with Happy at the helm, looking indomitable so far after a very weird first 4 rounds.
I do want to see what happens with Heroic when they can finally afford the AWPs and maybe put up a bit more of a fight. We haven't actually seen EnVyUs run it yet. We know that Sixer certainly, you know, well, truly enabled to do so. He's sitting on 7K, so maybe considering it, but maybe doesn't need it. He knows they're going to be up against pistols, which always makes it a little bit more tricky. But the guy, certainly capable. And right now, the CT side is going just about as well as that Call of Duty World War II reveal. So hopefully for Heroic, they can recover a little bit. 2 rounds. You know, this is one of the, I guess, if you want to argue it, the 2 best maps for them, right? You put it that way. This and Nuke always sits very favorably with them. But it's still early days. They've been kind of at the hands and at the mercy of Happy, and Nico going to try and put that UMP to use. RPK is well aware that he might be up to something here, and maybe that's the plan. They're doing the boost off to the side, so he might not expect that, as Valdi will be there. Nico a little bit late on the trigger there, but it will be Valdi to avenge him, so nothing really lost. I guess Nico did have armor, so that's something.
Interesting positioning for Valdi to be in, though, as a CT, on the stairs down towards that T-spawn, so I wouldn't be expecting that either. I think many people would be. However, despite this early exchange, EnVyUs haven't really made, you know, huge leaps and bounds across the map. They haven't really taken any, you know, real estate. And XMS has to check these cubicles individually because he knows that Heroic are playing with pistols, and we just saw what Valda did to RPK. So it's very slow play. Sixer is behind XMS. You can see this here. So it's not just XMS going on his own with the bomb. Fear not. Scream is also not too far behind as well. There's utility here for EnVyUs to set something up. They've got the Molotov, they've got the smoke here. So that's a flash for Sixer. He's going to head straight on down, but again, he gets flashed himself, and Valda still doesn't manage to make it happen because XMS, as before, has been playing that wingman role for Sixer.
And Yugi, try as you might to finish that kill. Just didn't come through. XMS still stands. Bombs planted, 4 alive now. Modi clutching at straws at this point. Trying to get maybe an exit. Maybe find something, get a gun away. There are 3 rifles up. Hell, we know what UMP can do, but I don't know if anyone's coming his way. Oh, he might have a chance here. Sixer. Let's see if you're going to check it. Lovely stuff from Modi.
No chance to salvage that weapon, though. He knows there's too many foes afoot. Regardless, some money made, and obviously a gun that will need to be repurchased for the side of EnVyUs, but quite around for Heroic there. Things didn't quite go the way they would have liked with that aggressive play towards brown holes and further. EnVyUs play it quite slow, quite methodically there as well, and obviously having Sixer and XMS working essentially back-to-back as they made their way down towards the A site made it very, very hard for Heroic to get favourable trades.
It does feel like finally Heroic can go on a decent buy. It felt like a long time in the making, but they do have that AWP on Yugi. If there's any time to stop what EnVyUs are really building, this is the big round. And EnVyUs are probably going to be aware of this. First time they'll be able to go coming up against, you know, a decent buy here, maybe a switch up of pace, maybe a different look, maybe something new. Sixer got to be careful. It takes a little bit of damage to begin with. And, oh, look at this presence through pop. That's 3 players right there. Valley turning it and just, oh, he does get away. Makes it up on towards that little bit of a top piece over here. Going to swing out on it as well. Good chance towards XMS, and he takes it. Snappy burning alive. Got to be careful, but this is a lockdown. Envy pick up the pace, and Heroic hold it down for now. There's still Sixer and they're still happy, but the lurk god himself would have to really go to a new level there. Yugi's going to shut that before it even began to really unfold, but you could see EnVyUs trying something new. That was them going, all right, we know they're on a big buy. Let's see if we can maybe catch them out, throw something in there, you know, bit of a spanner in the works. And, well, it didn't work out that round.
No, the deeper A-side hold, actually, was Heroic's bread and butter up against Virtus Pro, for example. And, you know, that, to a large degree, is off the back of Yuki connecting shots with the AWP very early on in the push. He finds 2 in that round. His first opportunity to wield the rifle in this particular game, and it's worked well for him. Now, Six is going to be slowed up a little bit. No push out of T-Con. Snappy gets aggressive, though. The UMP doesn't really serve him well in that case. The spray was wild, and none of it connects. But there's Yugi again, playing back on that A side. Very hard to penetrate if you're EnVyUs and you don't have a lot of utility.
Yeah, this is a nice spot for Nico. We know he can do 2 big kills. That's very important. It allows Value then, ideally, to shut it down, but Scream 2 kills. You're left in the 1v2 now. What's the plan, Scream? You do have the bomb. And we know what sort of aim this guy has.
Sharp as attacks so far today.
All right, smokes out through Pop. He's trying to throw him off track here. And again, heading right back round towards B. Now, Heroic playing both sides. 1 to B, 1 to A.
I feel like this is maybe the door you don't want to pick.
Well, let's see where Yugi's playing it. He's not holding an active angle towards where Scream came from, so the bomb will be planted. They do have a molly, so that's going to maybe flush Scream possibly out here. Yugi's got to be ready for what then comes his way if he does try and make Scream move.
He's very reluctant to pull the molly at all, actually. Yugi doesn't really have information about where Scream's set up. Here, the one tap, it works. Modi falls. It's 1 bullet embedded in the brain, and that's enough to deal with him. Yugi now has a little bit more information, but it's not conclusive. He needs to make his way, I guess, piecemeal up towards Scream, and it's not going to be enough. The clutch comes out. The one and only Scream, 4 kills in the round, and EnVyUs break back after Heroic get a successful gun round.
Yeah, playing it so nicely then, Scream. He had control of that situation, it felt, from start to finish. Didn't let that drop at all, so good stuff from him. And you know that he's always capable of that sort of stuff. You give him just a rifle and you never know what you're going to get, but it does feel as though Heroic just not as on point, not as crisp as I expected on this map. Feeling they've kind of been on the receiving end of a pretty hard economy throughout this one. They've been pushed around and barely able to build up much money, but EnVyUs is showing that they really do have quite a bit of firepower here and a lovely approach. Now Modi waiting just behind a bit of a stack there to the left, but Happy not aware of it yet. Yuki's baiting it in. Doesn't actually see anything, so that might not bode too well. And Modi might have heard that step, but at the moment, he's just trying to do what he can. Yeah,
an early molly from this position. We saw Happy actually throw it a few rounds back, which is somewhat standard. Will require Nico to step forward and help Modi out here. Modi pushes just as it's thrown. That was very, very nice. Here's the pin pull, goes for it, and Happy's caught with his pants down. That's nice play there for Heroic, who were very little in this round, but they've salvaged an AK off of Happy, and they have control of that part of the map for now, allows Modi to focus on A for a bit longer.
EnVyUs look a little bit, humbled here.
Frazzled
taking their time, yeah. It's like, okay, let's be a little cautious. Oh, that's a nice volley.
That's not ideal.
No, that's just next level stuff. Bit of a mistake, of course, but they are out now towards that outer bomb site. Now, Modi, he's your danger man. Gives away his position at this point, but just spraying away, spamming down towards the exit pop. Now, the bomb's not gone down just yet, but it is there now. XMS is going to be putting it down in a safe angle. He can't be spotted just yet. The bomb can't be hindered.
It's still good for EnVyUs here. They have the weapons and they have the bomb down now. XMS shows himself, but he knew where Yugi was, and it's a very comfortable finish. XMS is able to about-face. That shot was towards Nico and Connector. I believe he was boosted on Snappy, and then the aforementioned tries to peek himself and also gets taken down. So Modi probably wants to save this AK in this round. He doesn't really have armor to supplement any sort of engagement, so given Heroic's position and where their money's at, which is going to be enough for a buy in the next round, but it's not going to be anything stellar. It might be enough for Yugi to go in for an AWP and even get some armor, which is something, but it's not an even spread across the rest of the Danes. Valda goes down, but Modi stays alive, and he actually gets a kill there, so that's pretty worthwhile. A bit of a risk, though, given that you can see that, for people like Snappy, there's not a lot to be bought, but Yugi does go armor and AWP, gets that. UMP's going to be bought in. So it's actually a relatively robust buy on the side of Heroic. Not too shabby, and even EnVyUs need to dig into their pockets a little bit deeper. And again, XMS doing this one more time. We actually see players like Rain, I think, just go with a USP in some rounds like this if he's going to hand over an AK or something, which often Scream is the benefactor of XMS's wealth in some of these rounds. Just Tech 9.
Well, let's see what EnVy have in store this time. Last time we saw the full buy with the possibility of, let's say, an AWP coming out. They went for that quick hit and it didn't go too well. This time it seems different. A new approach, but Modi holds the angle and takes it as it is, and that's perfect from Modi. 2 big kills.
Six can't do anything about that. He can't even trade. He can't get involved in that fight at all. Snappy, though, that's a bit of a blooper moment for him. Playing up close. Not the first time he's messed that up.
No, Snappy is completely under RPK's control. He is, hook, line, and sinker are all his. Nice work from Yugi to hold the line, though. Oh, and the follow-up's perfect. RPK finally gets put down, but it felt like a long time in the making. And Six is still standing and holding the angle. But Modi is pretty on point today, it seems.
Yeah, interesting to see what EnVyUs were doing over at Ivy in general. I think if that smoke was thrown by Modi to try and cut Sixer out of the ensuing gunfight, then fair enough, because he gets a 2-man spray down and Sixer couldn't get involved because he was completely blanked out by smoke. Nice play from Yugi, pretty smooth. I think he's I mean, even before I think he made his way into this team. Remember the whole saga with getting him from Tricked, and there was a whole contract thing, but Heroic really wanted him, and they shelled out for him, and everyone was saying this guy's got potential to be the best AWPer in Denmark, if not Europe, so we'll see.
Well, here comes that fast pace from Envy, going to just flick that switch and make the hit happen, but Yugi's found an angle to work with, and the bomb's been dropped down by Pop, and that is a problem down the line, but for now, the line of sight is all Yugi's happy. Is eliminated, and it's just Sixer. This quickened pace just doesn't seem to sit well with EnVyUs, and Heroic love a bit of it. Well, the recovery begins, but let's remember, normally the impressive part about EnVyUs on this map is the CT side. They have so many quirky ways of playing it. I think RPK's controlling play, very overwhelming play that he can bring is something to be noted. So again, don't think this is, you know, the comeback's an easy one. Now for Heroic, they've got a bit of money beside them. No, it's the next half that's going to be the real big test.
Saw how Happy met his fate in that prior round. It's the second time in 2 rounds that he dies in that same way. Trying to play that little corridor off on the far left side of that site, but Train is a map that really lends itself to linearity, which is why teams with such good AWPers are so successful on it. And Yugi's starting to distinguish himself as one of the aforementioned. You can see what he can do with that, and Happy 2 times in a row meets his fate in the same way by challenging on that long corridor. It's a big risk to take.
Tactical timeout comes in. And I'm wondering whose it is.
EnVyUs, because they have stuff or money here.
But again, it's weird they're calling a tactical timeout at this point. I don't know.
It's often that it actually comes before the save round and not before the round they're actually buying for. So it's almost like they discuss to a degree what the buy round's going to encompass before they even get to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe just how they feel they need to approach it now that Heroic have a bit more money, because up to this point they've been, you know, so in control of the economy, keeping that so well in check. Maybe there's just a, okay, well, how do we approach it now? Do we want to stick that quickened pace that seems to be not falling too well into our hands? Do we want to slow it down? We'll see what they come up with. It's going to be a bit of a different picture though, because there's no utility beside Heroic, and EnVyUs can't afford much. You highlighted it already. Going to buy down to about 2k, and that's about your lot. So upgraded pistols, no armor. Excuse me, RPK's at least got a bit of armor, and then nothing else as well. So this could be just a, you know, let's see what we can do. Let's get in there, have a crack at it, maybe try and get a gun away. Certainly more than able to do so. Envy going for the quick hit down towards Ivy. Molly seems to be a little bit of off point there, and now they're going to slip through. There's a couple of players going down by the old bomb train, actually, and right towards spawn. That's a bit of a problem, as Valdi's already gone. And now, right amongst them, Envy are right in their midst, and that, you know, could have spiraled out of control. It's been kept in check.
Modi had to back away and get a safer position, which is what has allowed EnVyUs to wrap here through CT spawn, but now 6 against 3. This is a more costly round than Heroic would otherwise have wanted. There's only 2 more rounds left in the half, and they should be able to buy, so that's by the buy. That being said, 6 another spray down. It's snappy to fall to the Tech 9, and Yugi finally chimes in to end it there. But you get a lot more bang for your baguette there for EnVyUs in that round.
Bang for your baguette. That's a thing. I like it. I like it a lot. Double AWP coming out from the CT side. Snappy sitting on one. No surprise, Yu-Gi-Oh! On the other. But let's look at EnVyUs. Have we seen Sixer with the AWP at all on the T side?
No.
No. So.
Oh yes, we have seen him play Ivy with it a couple rounds. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, there was that one round where he got shut down by
also
Modi
played. He played standard T-Com, pushed to A with it as well. But
all right, so it's not been a regular occurrence. It's not been an instant go-to. Considering they've had money for it on a couple of occasions, we haven't seen it throughout. But this time, let's see what Heroic are up to. Valdi, how aggressive do you want to be here, buddy? Just going straight in. Smoked off one side, pushed to the other. I like it from Heroic. This is a different look, but Envy seem like they're aware. They're not caught off by this in any way, shape, or means.
It tells you a whole lot, though, if you're Valder. It also means that you know exactly where to be setting your crosshair inside that connector, so he knows no one's lying in wait. Run boost there. Essentially redundant because of the smoke that was present, and Snappy's holding a very tight angle here. He now is going to be smoked to Molly top down, so this is going to force him right away. Also force Modi to concern himself a little bit more with what's going to be happening in T-Com.
Yeah, Snappy a little isolated from the rest now. XMS first in, he does have the Galil, maybe just willing to be traded off.
Oh, Modi
flashed again, forced off the angle, and now forced to back away. XMS does fall, but he's going to serve his purpose. He gets traded out. Scream going to close it down, and the follow-up is big. Valdi is right there. It's Snappy, though, to finally bring things back to an even keel.
They bloody let Scream in. Of all the things you could do, again, Modi eats another flash, and there's not much he can really do about it. 10 health for Scream. That's all he's got to work with. It's a 3v3. The bomb is down here. And EnVyUs now looking to back away and take some more safer positioning. There's still an AWP in the game. Yugi has that one. Snappy actually traded his out. What on an AK for this next fight, for the retake attempt. And here comes out some of the utility to force Scream back. One more tick would have done the job. He still challenges with 7 HP. Wins out against Snappy. He wasn't ready for it. This is looking pretty grim now for Heroic. And all they had left was Yugi. He could do nothing with an AWP about it. It's going to be 6-9.5. An envious fight around there that kind of textbook when you think about it. Push through Ivy. Molly, smoke it out. Pressure Moddy. And they're onto the side already. Well, not too bad, but now we're looking forward to see their patented CT side on this particular map. It's going to be a tight affair between these two teams. Let's hit the half, and we will return with the rest of Train. Well, Lauren, 15 rounds into this first match of the evening sees EnVyUs up by 3 rounds at the half. It's 6-9. And the final round with EnVyUs, after some theatrics from Happy earlier in the half, was quite impressive the way that there's, you know, textbook control. They made their way over on towards that A site and got that plant down. It should be a very interesting half.
Individually, two of the players looking very sharp. There's no putting it past Happy's beginning, but Scream had a bit of an ending as well. He was down to, what was it, 10 HP, and he came alive and actually managed to, you know, really just pull the round back into their control. Heroic's money was pretty much broken throughout the vast majority of the, you know, early to mid game of that first half. But when they finally got the AWP in hand, you saw a little bit more from them. But it was a long time in the making. Now, I feel Heroic, you've got to be starting with that pistol. Get that under your belt and it's game on. Otherwise, you've got that uphill struggle of, you know, just being able to try and grind out those gun rounds. It's going to be tough. We know that Envy bring a lot on this CT side. Every single player has a couple of pieces to watch, and I want to see if they have anything unique to be seen here. And the same can be said for Heroic. But again, no utility for Heroic here, just that pure Glock tray. That might be just coming straight towards B, and I think Happy might... I'm not sure if he's heard it or someone else heard it or what's happened here, but he's backed away from this already. Yeah,
this, in my opinion, is the no-frills kind of play. EnVyUs, actually, I think they had XMS or RPK carrying a lot of utility. They had flash, Molotov, smoke, all the rest. Not in this occasion for Heroic. So, again, hoping for a player to be, you know, playing fairly far forward for information from EnVyUs, hoping to pick him off early and then overwhelm. And they can still overwhelm this B side anyway. Happy and RPK will be put under pressure. That's the purpose of this kind of round. Overwhelm, get a man advantage, and a quick plant. Heroic are waiting on some sort of timing, whether it's 1 minute or 40 seconds. It seems to be about 1 minute. Yeah, they're going to push on now. RPK takes a little bit of damage, realizes there's going to be a lot of play, so he needs to play this one fairly conservatively. Sit back behind the train, then try and peek when Snappy's not looking, but he's already lost Happy. Now he's going to be on his own. Needs to reload. Not much clip capacity there, but Scream and XMS have arrived, and they're here to help.
Thank God RPK needed the help there, and he was not landing anything. It's one of those horrible moments you're just hoping something lands, but right now, everyone else is making up for it, and then some. It's Sixer coming into his own with 2 kills, playing this back in, and there's no happy moments here for Heroic. It's going to be the play coming out from Scream to close it out, and a defuse to follow. So nicely done from Envy after a bit of a shaky start. Happy and RPK got overwhelmed, didn't land the shots, but it was the 3 playing back in who got the job done. Happy
was in a position where he couldn't fall back as comfortably as RPK could. He was sitting right on that bomb train, so reasonable to see him go. RPK, while not getting the kill, you also saw Snappy. I'm pretty sure he pulled a knife and started jumping towards him. So both of them not connecting RPK bought valuable moments, valuable time. Heroic got the plant, so that is something. That means they buy into this round with Tech9's Desert Eagle and a UMP for Nico. That's their silver lining. Now they need to make it into gold.
Is it going to be another B hit coming through here? The second testing of RPK and Happy. This time a little switched up on the rolls, but looks somewhat familiar if you're looking at Heroic. And you can't really blame them. They do have Tech9's Deagles, things like this that work very well towards B. Smoke's lined up, probably down towards that connector. We'll see what their go point is again. Last time it was around a minute. Maybe it's somewhat of a similar thing. But the problem is the longer you leave it, of course, the more likely it is that maybe the CT side starts pushing up. You start to doubt yourself. You start to wonder, have they gone for info? Well, we're going to see right about now. Still only 2 players here towards B. Oh, that molly not quite ideal, and RPK still holding the angle. Happy finally takes down the opponent, but it took some time. It took a lot of damage, and they're going to get the bomb plant for this. No one's close enough to deny it. XMS is trying to get as close as he can, but Yugi puts down a smoke and now kind of isolates XMS off from the rest of his team. But if they can't pounce on it, it doesn't really matter. Well, down to the 2v2. Bomb is planted, but both positions noted. And Sixer could have made something happen then, but it's Nico to hold on.
1v1 here. Nico's already had 3 kills in this round. Monty with some nice shoulder peeks to secure at least the trade. He doesn't have a Molotov here.
No kit on Scream.
That's huge. Not that Nico knows this, though. He has to challenge him out anyway. Okay, Heroic, this time again, go for a little bit of an aggressive play over on towards that A side, but it works out. And now winning the Force round puts EnVyUs now in the backseat. RPK's got 1,500. Can't really buy anything at all. Maybe, yeah, I guess he's just going to buy right on down here. The rest of his team doesn't, though, so we'll see if it staggers out economy too much. But yeah, flashes for Scream, Deagle. Make an investment in this round.
If you're that low, you're in double eco territory, so you might as well. You know what I mean?
Just try and win it out.
Yeah, do what you can with it. Again, it's a little bit of a shame for them. You felt they could maybe make something happen. And oh, what a read from Heroic. So aware that Happy and RPK love to do that push-up. It was something that was actually discussed on the desk is awkward. Yeah. How much they love to do it. They push up towards the brown horse. They make the play off the back of it. RPK can be a bit of a turret
the
off
molly
it.
Play is so nice.
And it's just a nice bit of awareness. Put it down, deny the early push, keep tabs on it. Perfect. But now Heroic don't have any control elsewhere, so they're having to play back into this very cautiously.
However, trade map control early for 3 kills. Don't lose anyone, although Valder almost fell to one of his teammates. Happens. Now they can make their way back in. So they've left Modi upstairs, just in case any more CTs are looking for a brawl. And now there's a lot of utility that still remains for Heroic to use here. So it's a pretty comfortable position. They can put a lot of pressure on these pistol players, just like that. Scream, though. Smoke dropped at his feet, but he still finds the shot. No mirrors required for that magic trick. Backing away, though, for the moment, leaves Sixer up on this bomb cart. So Scream's going to be screamed out by the smoke, and he can't help Sixer there at all.
It's an attempt to do damage now for Scream. He does still have armor, but it doesn't... Well, he can take it to the next round with the Deagle. No one else is going to have much more than him. So if he takes down anyone on his way, if he gets a gun away, good stuff. That's what you're aiming for. But it's so unlikely playing back in from connector. Maybe look for another angle. Hope that someone's hanging around a little bit later than they should be. Doesn't have a kit, so, you know, the Ninja's not looking all that promising either. So Nico and Snappy. Snappy's still keeping eyes on this from Pop, so there's no real problem about the bomb. That's not the threat. It's just keeping Scream contained at this point.
It's kind of the most you can do, isn't it? It's like a fusion reactor. No metal that we know of can contain such great heat, just magnetic fields and whatnot. That's what Scream is.
Scientific term, whatnot.
Whatnot. Scream's like the fusion reactor. Although I don't think he'd opt to do the fusion dance with anyone else. I don't think he wanted to, like, mix his, you know. Seen Dragon Ball Z where they do the fusion dance? Put your fingers out like this.
That's what Riot casters do. Don't you do that?
Do they do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Just saying, it's a great TV show. I really enjoyed it.
Never got into it.
You like Akira though. You like the old school stuff.
Oh no, I'm a massive weeb, but you know, I don't.
I can't believe you threw the Riot casters do that at me. That hurts.
They do. They do. Okay. I expect better from you. You know what I mean?
All right, not crying. Anyway, Valder's going to make his way into Ivy. So already a little bit of a smoke Molotov, and we saw this from EnVyUs as well. This is obviously going to force players on either side away. It prevents a peek from either corner, which is they're both equally possible in a situation where you have a player playing back of the train close to Ivy, and then a player like Sixer who is sitting amongst the corridors. Despite that ejection of utility on that part of the map, though, Valder hasn't opted to push into Ivy. Not convinced. So Heroic have to go elsewhere. They're respecting a lot the fact that Envy, well, double eco.
I guess you know that there is always damage available, and for Heroic, they know this is going to be a long game. They know what Envy can bring on the CT side, so you've got to be playing this out clean. They've got limited utility, so they've got to be careful with when they actually put it down. They put it to the right place so they don't walk into a stack or aggressive positioning. Now, Yuki spotted out Happy there. Nice little work from him. Jumps down into it, makes it a very hard shot for Happy to reciprocate, and of course it works out. No real problem there. It's retake time for EnVyUs. They know that this is now going to be a B play. Molly's very far ahead, so he's got to be a little cautious. He does have the UMP, so he kind of wants to go farming anyway, but look at the position from Sixer. This is a little bit sweaty. Molly shouldn't expect that. No, he doesn't. He does get the kill, but kind of caught off. Yeah, followed up on towards RPK, and the third to follow for Molly. Kind of surrounded, outgunned, and outnumbered, but he did hold on in the end. But now Scream again left all alone.
It's a nice tag on Yugi there, but it's not going to amount to much more than style points at this stage. A lot of resources committed to trying to deal with Moddy, and Scream doesn't even want his weapon. He just wants the Deagle right now. Given that it's a UMP, it's probably less effective at the range he's trying to play with at the moment. Another round. Another Scream save of the Deagle. And that was EnVyUs just being forced to sit a couple rounds out, given they didn't really have the money. So now things change. They can buy back in a little bit. Six has enough of the AWPs and saving for it. Yugi has his own AWP as well. And quite an even spread over the score lines heroic-wise here. They're all looking in pretty good shape.
Yeah, no, this is a good turnaround from Heroic. It's the big challenge now, though. It's you know, the kind of flip side of what we saw in that first half, where it was the first challenge we saw the big buy-up coming out from Heroic, and actually Envy did pretty well on it. Now it's Envy's turn again. They've got the AWPs here. You've got Sixer finally sat on it. Not much utility, though, and no kits either. So it's a little bit of a problem down the line for EnVyUs. We know that playing retake on this map can be pretty arduous, and there's only one man holding towards B. Now that's RPK, 4 players, not really dedicated towards A, but pretty much on it. Now Valdi just feeds himself through, but it's going to encourage this B hit to come in, and RPK, he can't stop them all, only finds one and the rest flood through. Now Snappy and Yugi going to try and play basically babysitter for Nico here, try and keep him alive for the bomb plant, job done.
Let's
now
send him straight down.
Can they hold it together?
That doesn't work out at all. Nico goes very deep, and Happy's almost expecting that. I think teams like SK Gaming are very good at actually pushing deep on this train, on the T side, should I say? Especially when they hit A, but it hasn't worked out. Heroic sit very much back here, and they leave themselves incredibly vulnerable to Sixer, especially, who has that AWP in hand. Nico wasn't able to get under the skin of EnVyUs at all. It's going to be a comfortable defuse here for Envy and keep themselves 2 rounds ahead. So they buy back in, they be patient, and they stay in the lead for now.
That retake was to the point, to say the least. Heroic seemed to lose so much just by going for that hit, so...
Well, they traded out, I think, 1 for 2, so not ideally before they get the bomb plant down, and then they didn't really take advanced positioning and try and get aggressive, so... Super easy when you play back in with an AWP. I mean, that's your concern. If you're retaking with an AWP, it's that they're going to play close angles, that they're going to surprise you, but that's not what Heroic did.
2 AWPs on EnVyUs. Sixer with 1, Happy on the other. We know that he still loves a bit of this. Heroic can still fashion a buy together. They had that first good start. They built up a good amount of money. That's not the problem. This 4-1 might be an issue. RPK is a problem. He only found 1 then, actually, when he hindered the approach, but it still did enough, and we're going to see this outer hit coming from Heroic, it seems. Bit of a 3-2 split, 2 down towards Pop, 3 through towards Connector, but at the moment, there's a lot of utility being put down here. Yeah, there's a lot of smokes up here. Hopefully their PCs can keep up with this one. The FPS is going to be dwindling, but XMS can see above it all, and Scream's got an angle too, and Heroic are being cut down at the knees. 1 kill found is not enough. And doesn't matter how many smokes they put down, Envy just met them at the door, met them at the gate, and said goodbye.
That was bizarre. Both teams there, yeah. A huge amount of utility being used in the early stages of the round. Good display from Scream. As the smoke eventually cleared, EnVyUs still had 4 players up, and that was Heroic pushing in there with still a little bit of money expended on weapons and the like. Clean as you like. We've got a tactical pause here. It's likely for Heroic because their economy is in a little bit of a weird spot. Players like Valda are buying in, so it looks like they're going to go for another buy. Moddy's only got 3,500, so he needs to decide how he's going to spend that. You'll likely see a smattering of UMPs and maybe even a Tech 9 for Heroic players here. Probably going to prioritize that utility as much as they can. The truth be told, we've seen rounds in which they've used a lot, even the B-side hit prior, where they obviously traded out inefficiently and lost the round ultimately. They used a lot of utility there, so maybe not making the most use of it. We see a lot of smokes and Molotovs even used at Ivy early in the round, and it's purely just to check corners, and then we see players like Valdo who don't push into Ivy, don't really want to fight for that part of the map, and they essentially waste, a smoke and a Molotov early on. At least it seems that way. It's 12-9 now. Heroic do force in.
Yeah, this could be the, not I wouldn't say last, but this is one of the big goes they now need to pull off. And again, RPK very much alone at B, but he's such a threat. They're so good at keeping it under wraps. A little bit of a jump across, trying to make sure that Sixer couldn't see them, but Sixer is holding an incredibly passive angle right around the back of Ivy, so no real trouble for him there, not even challenging out. But look at this aggressive play. 2 players pushing up towards Pop. And if you're Heroic, you're left scratching your head on that one. Not what you normally see, but it might actually work well if Heroic go for the same hit that we saw not too long ago. Far slower approach, it seems, this time.
We haven't really seen a lot of explosive play from Heroic out of Pop Dog. Maybe the one player in that prior round when there was 8 smokes over on the A site.
Now, this offset of timing or change-up of timing has made Envy think. You can see the Happy's all the way back in CT spawn. He actually went right round towards B, but he can actually help out now. The threat is that double stack towards Pop. It's so unique. It's so weird. They wouldn't expect the follow-up. It's the scream was there somehow still. Six is doing a good bit of work here. He's now in a bit of an awkward predicament, though. He's going to have to push towards the smoke, try and find safety somewhere because he's surrounded on all fronts. He's going to play an RPK, though, because he knows what's safe and what isn't, and he plays a fit so well. Now Valley in the 1v3, he's got an angle, he's going to find Happy. But finding the last 2 with 25 seconds, going to use the bomb as a flash, and that does not go well. RPK, not to be fooled, denies the round going over towards Heroic.
Yeah, and that was Heroic playing very, very slowly through it. But again, the big investment of plays in towards Pop Dog for EnVyUs allowed them to control a main entry point on towards the A side from Heroic. And once Heroic did get in, they were forced to play at the very fringes of the A side itself. They were picked off, playing around the E box and around that T connector. Not many opportunities to get involved. And the double AWP play for EnVyUs is persisting, so Happy's going to have that yet again. And Heroic now probably going to fancy a fast play. See 2 flashes there as well, so nothing to set up here. Don't really need to reinvent the wheel. Nice little peek from RPK, spots that out though.
Yeah, that's great for him. And also playing Happy, he can kind of bolster himself, be like, all right, yeah, they are probably coming B. This is fine. Gets 1, tags Nico as well. It's a 2-for-1 discount almost. Happy going to back away. Now RPK's turn. Snappy somehow snuck through, and really, if you're Heroic, you're only hoping for a bomb plant, and there's a lot of resistance to this. They're a little bit frustrated, I can imagine. Happy's having a whale of a time with the AWP as well. RPK, but awkward angle to play from there. But he'll make it work in the end. It was just Happy to close out with the USPS. That's 4 kills for him, but nicely worked between each other. And Envy completely stabilized. You're at 14-9 now, you're in a good spot. Heroic can get a decent buy. That whole round was basically just to allow them to get this money together.
Yeah, and the one Molotov thrown in there as well, I think it was by Happy or RPK. On that B side, made it hard for Heroic to push. The element of speed is the only way they're really going to get anywhere in that round, and then it was just lateral play from Happy back and forth with the ult to stop them. So nothing overly complicated there. Now we're going to see a lot of what we saw previously. Now we're going to see at least 3 smokes now over on towards his A side. We'll see where they end up pluming. Sixer trying to play aggressive out of Ivy. Now he's going to follow it up there. Beautiful stuff, but he runs into more players than he otherwise would have expected. And this round, there's a greater investment for Heroic towards this part of the map. But look at that Molotov. Completely denies Nico not only the refrag opportunity, but a chance to get deep access in towards Ivy early on. And now he and Nico have to play it quite slow. Well, Nico and Yugi, should I say. Oh, that takes the momentum away so much.
It really does. It's just hit the brakes on the train. It's suddenly come to this screeching halt now. Snappy could be caught out. Scream just walks into it so late and so randomly. There are no offset, no timing to set it up. And Yuki, though, finds an angle towards RPK peeking into this. Maybe Envy getting a little ahead of themselves here, but XMS's angle again, catching off someone coming through Pop and causing so many issues. We're back down to a 3v3. Snappy turns the odds, but it's Happy who's on point here. This AWP doesn't seem to miss. Now Yuki got the 1v2. He's got the whole weight of this round left on his shoulders. Bomb's in such a terrible predicament. He's got these 2 heavyweights to get past. First challenge will be Scream, but he might be able to forego this one. Oh,
he's
no,
done.
He's made
He's
noise.
absolutely
That's
done.
so awkward. You got to feel for him in that, but he messed it up in the end, and he just gave Scream the perfect timing. Happy didn't even need to worry about it. He knew the Scream would have his back, and it's 15-9. I feel that Heroic have just run out of steam here.
Yeah, and they really did at the start of that round, hoping to really be able to pinch through Ivy and through T-Con at the same time, but utterly denied. And we haven't seen a lot of T-side play from Heroic that's actually based around understanding the protocols and tendencies of EnVyUs on the CT side to play around Ivy. You know, are they actually going to double peek this one? Can we, you know, will there be a player pushed halfway down the corridor? Can we flush him out? So I don't really know a lot of what to expect from EnVyUs there, and they go for it late round. It's a gambit late in the game. Now it's match point. They definitely can't rely on the Ivy play. They're not even bothering it. No one down that side of the map. Might just be a Pop Dog, a T-Con explosion. They've got 3 smokes still that they can use, but they need to hit the ground running. Oh, God.
Just like, cool. All right, another 15 seconds. We'll just chill. It's fine. Oh, look at my gun. Nice.
Nice. Gun.
Yep. No, not 15 yet. Still gotta wait. No.
And Valda has to wait on this as well.
Everyone's had a time. Cool. Hopefully there's another smoke. That'll make me really happy. All right, smoke has finally gone.
Valda's got the bomb here.
And it's back again, ladies and gents. There's several smokes here. But no, if anything, this just plays in text messages. What is that timing? The weapon switch. It's not good. Molly goes in, flash comes out, it sets him up well. Yugi gets taken down. And now, again, Heroic are just being held back. They can't make a hit happen.
And you can see with the orbs in play, with 6 now finding the kill on Valda, we see Heroic just draw a line from north to south on the map. They actually can't get access to the backside of this A site. They're sat just trying to peek in amongst these trains. And when you're up against 2 AWPs, it's not going to be a good situation for you. Happy's playing from Connector. And on the other side, we've got Sixer sitting back. Snappy managed to finally get deep. The only player to get that far. He ran the gauntlet of EnVyUs players. And now he needs to kill the remaining 3, and he can't do it. No chance. Sixer comes in with a peek, and the double AWP there from Lauren. Last few rounds from EnVyUs, paying dividends for them. No doubt about it. Very, very commanding CT side, like you hinted at.
Yeah, no, we've always said and always hinted at the fact that EnVyUs do have that very robust CT side, but it was the individual prowess that kind of surprised me from Happy on the T side. They looked like the Envy that you kind of want to start seeing coming through, and maybe a new version of Happy that we hadn't seen in a while. So all in all, really good signs. Again, this is one of the best maps, I guess, overall for EnVyUs, especially with this new roster. It sat well for them. The next one is going to be the big challenge.
Solid performance from EnVyUs. No frills, no baubles, no dangly bits, Lauren. But for a few of those, let's head over the desk and get some analysis from the gents.
Yes, the gents with all their dangly bits. We are here now. I mean, that's a solid win from Envy, and I mean, despite the CT side being solid, I mean, they got off to a good start with some very good clutches in that first half.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to kick off a nice clutch and the pistol round from Happy, 1v4, that's not too bad. Bit of a blunder, I have to say, from Heroic overall. The way they played that was horrendous. They did kind of panic, it seemed they're going for the full defuse, not watching both angles, and Happy gets a double Glock spray down, if you like, and kind of ran away with it. But the thing is, like classic CSGO right now, back and forth all the way through. 4 spies for the first 6 rounds. No one could really get established, but then EnVyUs start to run away with it. And then as soon as Heroic win a round, they get reset. That happened like 3 times to them. And they got 3 rounds towards the end of their half, and they managed to get 6 on the board. But I think if they got the 3-0, maybe won that 1v4, maybe they had a real chance in this one. But they just couldn't get rolling in the second half either. Double orb setup for EnVyUs, actually looking very promising, I have to say, on the CT half.
Yeah, and I couldn't be more wrong. Both teams were relatively aggressive on the CT side, taking and pop dog control. So I don't know what I'm doing.
What can you actually say about that one?
Yeah, no, that aggressive style, you know, that's the way that I like to play it. Not necessarily pushed up all the way into team mid like Voldy was doing, where they were smoking it off, but they were comboing it correctly. You know, they'd use the smoke, they'd use a Molotov to flush out the box on the left, and then use a flash, right? And you can hold that for as long as the smoke's there, but eventually you have to fall back. When you look at the way that you can play that map so many different ways, but I think like not letting them get out of the choke point means when they do execute, when execute comes over, you've already messed everything up for them. Even if you only get 1 kill, and you're giving your teammates all the information and a chance to rotate. So good to see.
Yeah, I mean, is this now? I mean, Train is a Envy played that very, very well. Is this a map that we can consider them to be like one of their better maps in this new lineup?
I think it looks solid for them right now. Heroic for me weren't as promising as they usually are on Train. Their T-side's usually very good. They've got like little novel ideas they do with set smokes and boost over them and stuff like that. Never really got rolling their T-side. After losing the pistol, they got I think 3 in a row, and the 4 spy again in the second half. They got 3 in a row there. But as soon as the double orbs came out, like I said for EnVyUs, they looked very solid indeed. I called it not happy. I called Sixer out in the pre-game. He actually had a bit of a blinder there in the second half. He's looking very strong indeed.
We haven't really gone into this too much, but they did beat Envy, did beat Fnatic 16-14 on Train in ECS not too long ago. And I think looking at just bring up the stats just quickly, appears to be a better map for these guys. So
yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, Nuke is going to be like Lauren said. Nuke is going to be the tough test with Heroic. We know what they can do on that map. Either way, first map does go towards Envy. A good showing from them. We'll see what they've got on Nuke when we return from the break.